Today's episode is brought to you by Surfshark. If it feels like the internet is getting more dangerous by the second, and feel that hackers have more ways to target you, trackers are following your every move, and malware is hiding all over the web, luckily there is a solution. You can get a VPN. Essentially, it will hide your location and make you more difficult to identify and target. But privacy and security are not all that Surfshark has to offer. If you have a VPN, you will forget all about those pesky geo restrictions. Everything from news sources to social media apps that have become unavailable to you because of your location. All you need to do is change your virtual location and access all the entertainment you want safely and securely. And the best part is you can try out Surfshark completely risk-free because they have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So get Surfshark VPN at surfshark.deals/TTD. And don't forget, enter promo code TTD for 83% off and 3 months free. But now, on with today's show. Did you know for over 200 years, a company called Wiley has been helping people and organisations develop the skills and knowledge that they need to succeed? And they're also known for developing digital education, learning, assessment and certification solutions to help universities, businesses and individuals move between education and employment and also achieve their ambitions. And it's also known for online scientific, technical, medical and scholarly journals, books and so much other digital content, all built on a 200-year heritage of quality publishing. Now, I mention all this because at last year's Dynatrace Perform event, I got chatting with Wiley's CIO and CISO, Sean Mack, and we got talking about his experience in DevOps, infrastructure, security, enterprise applications development, and most importantly, the digital transformation that they were on. So 1 year later, at this year's Dynatrace Perform event, I've invited Eric Lytle from Wiley onto the podcast to discuss where the company is today, what problems they're looking to solve for their customers in a digital world, and also why Wiley is now accelerating its journey into the cloud, what that means, what challenges they've encountered along the way. And hopefully it will help other people listening at the beginning of a similar journey out there. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to Texas, where Eric is waiting to update us all on everything they're doing. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Thanks, Neil. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm Eric Lytle, Director of Tools Engineering here at Wiley. I help lead the teams that drive our monitoring platform. Our teams have created the day-to-day monitoring solutions for our systems and applications using tools like Dynatrace, our Elastic Stack, service monitoring platform, ServiceNow, along with other tools that support our integration with internal reporting applications.
Fantastic. Now, we last spoke, I think it was with Sean Mack from Wiley last year, but for anyone that missed our first conversation, can I ask you just set the scene and tell the listeners a little bit more about the history of Wiley and the kind of problems that you solve for your customers, just for anyone that are hearing about you for the first time?
Yeah, so as a research, education, and the jobs market rapidly evolve, there's an increased demand for Wiley's extensive digital resources. Providing access to resource and education content, platforms, and services from anywhere at any time is vital and really defines our business. These include online platforms that get peer-reviewed research to market faster, adaptive courseware and online education, platform learning content, and services including job training, placement, and databases. We have about 5,000 employees all over the world, and we're in 38 offices worldwide as well.
Wow, and so much has changed over the last 2 years. So where is the company today, and how has technology impacted what you do and continuing to impact what you do?
Sure. Wiley is transformed from using technology as an enabler to having technology really at the core of everything the company does. But it's difficult to balance digital transformation with the need to continue to deliver the best services and experiences. To keep pace with our customer needs, Wiley migrated to a cloud-native architecture, including Kubernetes and serverless computing services. With this transition came increased complexity brought on by the continuous change in the volume, velocity, and variety of data across this dynamic multi-cloud environment.
And there's so much talk around digital transformation at the moment. It seems that every business is doing it. But how has Wiley's digital transformation journey progressed since I last spoke with Sean, which I think was about March time last year, probably at the Dynatrace Perform event? But how have things progressed in the last 12 months for you guys?
Sure, it's still progressing as normal. We continue to move our existing applications to the cloud and replace those with cloud native applications as necessary. This has allowed us to take better advantage of the scaling opportunities that the cloud provides, in addition to modernizing applications to perform better and better, especially in consideration of the increased traffic that a lot of our applications have seen since the pandemic has started. One area of focus our group this year has been trying to build out is our AI ops capability. And what that means is that our Dynatrace instance can more proactively find bugs, outages, and other performance issues that may exist in our platform, even ones that haven't been previously identified or reported. What we find is really a needle in a stack of needles problem. A lot of our applications have integrations and data connections to other applications, and keeping track of all those connections and integrations is a time-consuming job, if not really impossible, at the manual monitoring level. And certainly not something you want to be trying to do on an incident call. Dynatrace dynamically auto-discovers those changes real-time and gives us visibility to those changes we could never get before with our regular discovery tools. As we continue to grow out the capability within our environments, we continue to see improvements in resolution times and shorter root cause analysis times as well.
And before we started chatting today, I had an email saying it was time to board my flight back to the UK from Vegas, because one of those things that's still there. But obviously, I'm not in Vegas. I'm actually speaking to you for 6,000 miles away. You're in Texas, I'm here in the UK. But your session at this year's Perform, which went virtual, obviously, looks at how Wiley accelerated its journey to the cloud. So can you tell me a little bit more about that for anyone that missed that session online?
Sure. Well, our move to the cloud is very similar to a lot of companies. We have applications that are cloud native, SaaS solutions. We also have lift and shift applications that we've duplicated data center-centric, server-centric applications. For those applications, we have an ongoing effort to modernize and re-architect applications for the cloud. This often results in a completely different language and technology being used. This is where a technology like Dynatrace's One Agent really stands out for us. We install the One Agent, and regardless of the underlying technologies, we are able to gather the metrics we need to monitor and assess the application performance. It allows our developers to focus on application functionality rather than creating custom code for tracing. In general, our observability platform, including Dynatrace, has enabled us to go from reactively responding to problems to focusing on building robust solutions and having Dynatrace identify potential problems before they surface to end users.
And a question I've got to ask on behalf of anyone that's at the very beginning of a strategy or initiative like this is what have been your biggest challenges in doing this over the last couple of years?
Sure. Before Dynatrace, keeping up with Wiley's increasingly complex cloud environment was draining teams' time. The dynamic nature of cloud-native technologies like serverless, containers, and Kubernetes creates observability challenges, which can impact user experience and availability. One of the biggest challenges we faced when moving to the cloud was visibility. We didn't have a good insight into what was happening in the cloud, nor how our applications were performing day to day. Dynatrace allows us to see what's happening at the code level, as well as metrics related to how the code is performing. And technologies like PurePath allow us to narrow down our search for bad performing code from hours and hours of combing logs to basically minutes of just reviewing PurePath transactions.
And how would you say Dynatrace has helped you on your journey? Because there's a lot of different support partners out there, and there's a lot of challenges along the way. But how important was it for you to having the right partner in place, and how did it help make that journey a little bit easier?
Sure. Dynatrace enables Wiley to automatically capture every source of observability and user experience data in a single place. This shift alone has freed teams to invest more time in proactively acting on insights they're getting in real time so they can create better, more innovative services and customer experiences while also maintaining focus on Wiley's primary goal, which is meeting customers where they are whenever they need resources. We are driven by several metrics, but the two that stand out, MTTR, which is mean time to resolution, which is how long it takes to resolve a problem from the moment it is reported. Over the past year, we've decreased our MTTR a further 37%. Now, keep in mind that since we started with Dynatrace 3+ years ago, we've seen really triple-digit reductions in MTTR. Very big metric for us to actually resolve our incidents in time. The other metric we use to really understand how observability has enabled us to find problems, what we call event to incident ratio. In a nutshell, it's the measure of how our systems identify an issue before we hear from a user. It's something we focused on in the past year, and we've tripled the ratio, which we think is a pretty good mark of just how these solutions are driving better results for our customers.
And you mentioned there that you started this, 3 years ago. And I think one thing that everyone's learned is in those 3 years is a digital transformation it's a journey, not a destination. It's not something you can just forget about. It is continuous. So, but for anyone that is on that path with you, what advice would you offer to anyone listening and embarking on a similar transformation like this?
Well, I think it's, first of all, it's recognized that it is a journey, and one that really never ends.
Yeah.
There continues to be innovation in the cloud, new languages that are introduced in development, and additional features for all products in the IT space. So when a business asks for a certain feature or requirement, what maybe 6 months ago was a hard no, maybe something that's just now part of the product. So always be ready to pivot as necessary in order to meet the needs of the business, but also be careful around too much customization to these platforms. Customization requires resources not just to develop the solution, but also to maintain it through upgrades, additional feature asks, and integration with other products. That can turn into a rabbit hole, so to speak, in terms of maintenance. One way to navigate around this is to include your business users in the technology stack decisions so that they better understand the constraints and can potentially change their process to better fit with the tool.
Incredibly cool. Well, I'll wish you the best of luck on this path that you took there. And I know we'll be chatting next year and seeing how further again you've progressed. But it's now time to have a little bit of fun with you and take a step back from the tech a moment, because we began the podcast talking about your origin story. So as we come full circle, I'm going to ask if there was a song, book, movie, or anything that has helped you or inspired you in your career, and maybe leave the listeners on an inspirational note with your choice and a story behind it. Is there anything that springs to mind for our Spotify playlist or Amazon wish list?
Yeah, there's a book that I'd like to mention. Obviously I've been in the IT business for 25 plus years now at this point, and started off like a lot of folks, doing desktop support, moved into some technical architecture roles, and now as a manager. One of the things that's really helped me along the way is identifying how to work with different types of teams, whether that be sales teams, internal or auditing teams, executive teams. So one of the books that I've read that really has helped me out, even in the near term here, is a book called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Now, that's quite a title that belies really its true intent, which is getting teams to work better together, especially pertinent in these times where we're all mostly remote, and we have been for right now the better part of 2 years. It's a pretty easy read, has storytelling behind it, and help me bridge the gap between teams with requirements and the teams that are trying to deliver those requirements.
Excellent. Well, I'll get that book on our Amazon wish list. I think we must be of a certain age and also had a similar path. I was an IT guy 25 years ago on that desktop support as well, so I know that path very well. But before I let you go, for anyone listening, just want to find out more information about what you're doing at Wiley. I don't know if there's any information about the transformation that you've been on as well. What's the best starting point?
Well, anybody can check out our website, wiley.com, as well as our kind of real-time Twitter handler at Wiley Global, as well as we continue to hire very top talent people. So please check out wiley.com/careers.
Awesome. Well, there's been so many big announcements at Dynatrace Perform this year. Love chatting with Sean Mack last year and talking about the digital transformation, but loved the update from you today, Eric, and learning more about how you accelerated that journey to the cloud now and expanding on how you've done that and offering a few tips along the way for others at the beginning. But thank you so much for sharing your story today.
Appreciate it, Neil. Have a good one.
So a huge thank you to Eric for coming on, giving us a timely update there, and also for sharing not just the great work that they're doing and the transformational impacts of taking this 200-year company into a digital world, but also the challenges along the way. None of these tech projects are all sunshine and rainbows. There's a few problems along the way. And I think if we share stories like this, maybe other businesses at the beginning of a journey don't have to make those similar mistakes and can be better prepared. So over to you. Now is the time where I point the microphone over to you and ask you to share your insights, experiences, tips, challenges, whatever it might be. Email me now, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn at Neil C. Hughes. And I also want to beg you all for a rating and a review of the podcast if you've got a chance to, because it really helps the podcast in the fight against those dreaded algorithms that we're all a slave to. But I'll be back again tomorrow. I've got another guest lined up. So thank you for listening as always. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.